Hello, everyone. As some of you know, I tried to go live earlier this morning from my car. So I'm using the same thumbnail. And I was about 3 or 4 minutes into that live stream and then it was cut. So I decided, since I was pressed for time, I would just delay this until later today. So here I am back again. Guys, I just want to say first, before I get into today's video message that I was being nudged heavily to put out this morning. If you haven't already, please go listen to last night's podcast. I can't stress enough how much golden wisdom is packed into that entire 90-minute episode. I know many of you don't know who Matt is, but you're going to want to know who Matt is. So go check it out because I promise your vibes will be changed, your outlook will be changed, and you will see things in a completely new way. He's a blessing. He's doing good work here. So please go check out last night's episode. You will not be disappointed. Okay. And also, if you're not already, I know most of you are, but for anyone who's new, if you're not following me on Instagram or Telegram, please do. Links are in the description below. Let's get to today's message. There's no going back. This came through really strong this morning, really strong. And I know that some of you were able to catch my talk on Monday through the Together We Ascend Summit. And I'm really hoping that the replay of that will be posted soon and then I'll get the video myself so I can post it here because, I don't know, some really pumped stuff came through that talk, like some stuff I wasn't even planning on. So there's no going back. What does that mean? It means that the shift is already too far along for it to be disrupted. And when I talk about the shift, I'm talking about the shift in consciousness on this planet. It is too far along for this boat is not turning around, okay? This big truck on the road, there is no turning around because it's gained so much momentum, so much speed, and so much strength that what we're witnessing happening right now in our world is an example of that, although it doesn't feel like it to many, which I'm going to get into in a second. But there's no going back, and there's no going back to normal. I know some people say, I just want things to go back to normal. There is no going back to that normal, and you should hope that we're not going back to that normal, because that normal was an illusion. That normal was an illusion of safety, of security, that everything was good enough. Everything was good enough to float by. And right now, human consciousness is not at a level where floating by or staying with an illusion of security or safety is good enough anymore. It's not. All of the illusions are dissolving right now. We're seeing the veil being lifted in many different ways. And that's because there's so much energy coming into not this planet, not just this planet, but our entire galaxy here, this entire universe that is changing everything. There's no fighting it. I mean, you could try to fight it, but it's happening. And so just know that whatever your old normal was, it was part of the illusion of false safety. And we're having to recreate a better foundation that works for everyone, not just a few. And for that, be grateful that we're seeing a collapse of many things happening. Unfortunately, we're seeing a collapse of all things, taking things that we deem as good down with it. And that's unfortunately part of the process. Not to be placed any judgment on it, because I do feel that deep down in my soul that many of us already knew how this was going to play out to some extent before we even signed up for this lifetime. And for those that are going down with the sinking ship, and when I say down with the sinking ship, I mean like kind of, how do you call it? Like, oh, there's no other way to say it. Casualties. Okay, casualties. there are going to be casualties on both what is perceived as good and what is perceived as not good. And so one of the messages that I did get today that I'm being asked to express, and I know that this message may seem a little bit redundant, but I'm been told to continue hammering it home because I'm getting the message from my guides that not everyone is fully grasping it yet. They're getting it on a certain level, but it hasn't seeded deep enough to enact change. But this message is that if you are not part of the solution, you are still part of the problem. And I say that because I still see that there is perhaps an energy, what's the word? Oh, energy is liberally being given away to an addiction to the divisive drama that we're seeing. And it's almost like, with everything going on, at some point you have to step back and you have to ask yourself, is this information helping me right now? In everything that you're consuming, everything. How does it make me feel? Do I already know this stuff? Do I already know this to some extent? Because a lot of it is just distraction from the inner journey that is so needed right now. This planet needs healing, and the only way it heals is through each and every one of us. And we're being asked to step into a greater frequency, a greater state of consciousness to model it for others. And so, are you consuming unnecessary information that is only disturbing your field of energy? It is only disturbing your frequency. I still get people sending me stuff, videos of like, oh, did you see this? And oh, like it's getting worse. And this doctor said that. And I don't look at any of that stuff. I know some of you just keep sending me videos and keep sending me videos. I do not open them. I do not look at them. Because I made a choice. I made a choice that I know enough to know it's not good for me. Okay? I already know it. I don't need to know how bad it is. It's already bad. And at some point, you just got to say, I release it. I'm going to let God take over here. I'm going to do what I can to maintain my personal sovereignty, my personal health, my well-being, my emotional well-being, my spiritual well-being. I don't need to know all the nitty-gritty. I don't need to know all the fine details. And so I'm bringing that up because I really would love for all of you to really ask yourself and tune in to what it is that you are like really investing your energy into. Is it stuff that's redundant? You already know it's more of the same stuff, more of the same stuff. What is it doing to your own field? What is it doing what is it doing? Like, is it putting you into a loop? And is it addictive? Like, do you just need to know more? Do you need to be there when the hammer drops? Because if you need to be there when the hammer drops, you're going to constantly be distracted and never being focused on your mission, on what it is that you're here really to do. So one of the things that I brought up in my talk on Monday was that all of you who are watching this, you are here to pave the way by being the way. And there is no other way. You have to be in that higher state of consciousness in order to help move things along. Now, the shift is happening whether you like it or not. I say that openly to anyone. But that doesn't mean that it's a free ride. Because if you're not part of the solution, and when I say the solution, I mean the higher state of awareness solution, the frequencies that actually enact compassion, actually enact allowance, non-judgment, honoring your journey while allowing someone to have their journey, whether it's in alignment with yours or not, is the only way we get out of this. It's the only way. We need to all come together. And so we're seeing now, again, a lot of systems collapsing. And unfortunately, there's a lot of casualties. I want to say innocent casualties being taken down because in some way they are. And again, unfortunately, no one wants that, but it is part of the process. So everything about you is going to be tested over the next few months because it's going to get worse. We see what's happening. I mean, just from an astrological point of view, when we look at what the alignments are, they're very tough alignments coming in. We've got our last Saturn and Uranus square happening on Christmas Eve. And that energy, because it's so potent, we're going to be starting to feel that in a few weeks. In mid-October, you will start to feel it and it will gain momentum through the Christmas holidays. And we'll still feel it up until about March, okay? Mid-March, which is why, when I did that reading that I talked about on the podcast with Tony last week, I do feel very much that we're going to see a lot of the narrative collapse, later on in like this year. I think it will be sometime around that Uranus-Saturn square. But it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be easy. I think what is difficult for all of us to understand is that the truth is never easy to hear. And although so many of us want the truth to be revealed, I think we have to be prepared for the chaos that ensue when truth is revealed. And there's going to be a lot of pain experienced, a lot of disbelief, a lot of cognitive dissonance, a lot of stunned energy. And we have to be models of how to move through that. A lot of you have been on this journey already so that you know what it's like. You can hold compassion for those who are initiating perhaps their very first dark night of the soul, okay? In ways that they've never experienced before. For some of us, our entire mission here is to hold space and to help be a compassionate guide for even those who may have laughed at you, for even those who may have questioned your own sanity, for those who pushed you away. We are going to see, I feel like we are going to see, I shouldn't say we are, I feel like we're going to see things get better. As I told many of you in the alchemy group, late spring, early summer. It doesn't mean it all starts at that time. I just feel like that's when the momentum of the shift is really going to start to be noticed. I think it's going to shift earlier, but the question really becomes, what are you doing to be part of the solution? How are you in your everyday life showing up and changing the frequencies? You know how powerful you become when you're shifting into higher frequencies. I know all of you who are watching this know that. And so there has to be a day-to-day discipline on where you're giving your energy away. There's still a controlling element here on how you're choosing to give away your energy. We're all guilty of it. And we have to be better. We have to be better at it. Like I said in one of my other videos about the control it's moving from control to surrender. One of the things I didn't really explain fully in that video is that the reason why we're seeing all of these control systems collapse is because we are understanding all of the systems within us that we've been trying to control through ego, through woundedness, that are no longer working for us. And the reason why I say it's time to move into surrender, it doesn't mean that you give up your sovereignty if you truly do not want to get this thing, or I should say this thing. If you truly do not want that doesn't mean that you just roll over and take it. For some of you, you may end up having to make that choice, and that's okay. There's no judgment there. Some of you will say no. You'll dig your heels in and you're saying, no, that's not for me, and that's okay too. But that's not one is surrendering and the other is not. When I'm talking about surrender is you can't have your outer world reflect something that's not already alive within you. If you're not holding that frequency within you, you cannot have it in your physical reality. It's just, it goes against all laws of energy. So what within you are you still trying to control from the ego's perspective of thinking you know better? Okay, when I say knowing better, the ego, will always try to convince you to stay safe, to not ruffle feathers, to just do what you've always known. Do not go outside your comfort zone. Do not push yourself into something new that you may be not that great at. Don't do any of those things. So how are you still under the control of the ego? And are you projecting that control into any of your relationships where you are trying to get someone to see your truth versus allowing for you both to hold your own truths and be in harmony with one another? Because that's where a lot of this is. There's a lot of struggle here. There's a lot of struggle, and you will not see that shift in truth until you are moved into a state of allowance of no longer needing someone else to see truth through your eyes. When you come into a state of acceptance and you feel really good about that truth, you no longer need anyone else to see it. It is enough that you know it. And because you have such a good relationship with that truth, because you trust it so deeply, that truth is in every cell of your body. It is vibrating throughout your field. You don't need to speak it. It is known in your vicinity. It is known when someone walks into your field. They feel it. And when you hold a state of allowance for someone else, you open up the door of possibility for someone to be in allowance with you. Those who are not ready may not, but you won't see shifts until you hold that space first. And that's why you've gone through this journey first. You have to be better. You have to take the high road. And when you're in a charged polarity situation, as we all are right now, it is very difficult to take the high road because so many emotions are running high. So many activations of fear, so many activations of anxiety, so many activations of I'm not safe. And this is where it all comes back into play. All of your spiritual teachings, everything is coming up to a head. How much do you trust your own wisdom? How much do you trust everything that you say you know in your heart? We're all being spiritually tested right now. Remember, there's no going back. So start moving forward in a way you've never moved forward before. It's truly the only way. I believe that there are a lot of mistakes being made here, and they're being made because everything's crumbling. It's like it's the energy of chickens running around with their heads cut off, essentially. And that doesn't mean that here's my point. There must have been a time before all of this happened, before March of 2020, okay? Before all this happened, where each and every one of us may have had a thought that when the 1%, okay, the those who believe they're in control of everything, when they start getting scared, when the panic really sets in, it's going to be glorious to watch. Nothing glorious about it, is there? Nothing glorious about it. It feels like shit. And the reason being is because we have to remember that we are all connected. We are all going to feel it. You do not take pleasure out of someone else's misery or pain. Not when you're vibrating at a high frequency. You just don't. It doesn't mean that you still don't want to see justice served. It doesn't mean that you still don't want to see, the truth come out. There has to be an honest conversation with self at a deep soul level that, this is not exactly playing out the way I thought it would. But when you actually sit back and think about it, it's playing out the way it's supposed to, the way everything is designed, so that we can all learn and grow. And we can also understand that if we are also connected, are we allowing the panic to infiltrate our own fields and control our reactions. And this isn't easy because, believe me, guys, I have my own fears and anxieties that keep coming up as well. I am not some superhero who's not panicked about anything, okay? I am going through some of my own stuff. It's getting triggered through all of this. We all are. It's part of the design. I don't think there is anyone out there who isn't getting triggered and isn't being forced to start using all of the tools that they have accumulated over their own journey and putting it into practice. It's like what Matt said on my podcast last night. He said, it doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. And that's how it is. So don't expect it to get easier, because it's not. But do expect yourself to get stronger. And that's the glory of it, is that we all evolve. We all get better. We all learn. And hopefully we all come together. So let me just see if there's anything else here. So make sure right now, this is one of so the biggest relationships that are being tested right now are the relationships of faith. Okay? Your relationship with God, your relationship with Source, your relationship with your higher self. These are the biggest relationships that are being challenged right now. There is so much fear. And so now is the time to really turn inward and focus on really tuning into that trust, tuning into the love, okay, that you know God has for you, and build on that. Hold that relationship, make it stronger. If it's wavering, spend more time there. It's one of the most important relationships you're going to have over the next 6 months or so. So it's going to get pretty dicey. And I think that, as we get some revelations coming out, it's also going to be met with more panic, and we're all going to feel it. It's going to go into straight up fear mode. So have a realistic understanding of how this is playing out, and understand that all of these souls came in to play a role for all of us. Okay? You all are here playing a role. I'm here playing a role. And you can look at it as good versus evil. But at the end of the day, we're all part of the same creator. So know that it's so important right now to practice spiritual hygiene, take care of your own energetic boundaries, strengthen them when you can, keep your faith strong, be very conscientious of what you're consuming in your mind right now, okay? Because at the end of the day, this is where the discipline starts to come in. This is where the self-mastery comes in. You're like, you know what? Is this really helping me today? Do I really need this? Or is it just sugar for my mind? Is it just feeding that addiction, that dopamine hit that I need right now? And just get honest with yourself. The more you're honest with yourself, the more we're going to see that truth come out. I promise you that. So the more we all get honest with each other, our own selves, our relationship with self, the more you'll see that come through. And right now, not everyone's being completely honest with themselves. Not everyone wants to look at what's going on with them because it's easier to look at what's going on outside. And that's a distraction. Okay, so I haven't done a live like this in forever, guys. It's so good to hang out with you here. And whoa, 111. I love it. I love the number. 111 people. Okay, let me just see. Are there any questions that came through? Angel Eyes, I know I just wasn't ready to hear that. What was that about? Oh, your adult children took the jab. You were told... Hold on a second. Who told you were burying them soon? Was that a doctor or what's that all about? Because please remember, guys, that not every person is going to react the same way to what's going on. obviously there's a strong possibility that not all of those vials are filled with the same thing. And also remember that there's a DNA component to this as well. And also depends on the vibration that you hold when receiving it. And so just okay, so I don't buy into the mass death kind of thing that I know that's floating around the internet right now. I don't know, a lot of people are promoting it. Sorry, I don't buy into it. I don't think that's what's happening. I do think there's going to be loss. There already is. Every loss is unfortunate. However, we can't judge someone for their journey. You guys do not know why that soul has chosen to take it. It could be part of their soul contracts. It could be part of something they need to learn. And you could have already joined in on that contract because of whatever it is that you need to learn through them taking it. There are so many things going on in the orchestration of all of this on a soul level that so many of us have no idea right now. There's such an intricate web of design that is teaching all of us something. And I mean, just like if someone gets cancer, or if someone, chooses to eat a ton of sugar and gets diabetes at some point, like those are choices that person has made on a soul level to go through a lesson. They're all equally sad. No one wants any of those choices, but that's an individual choice because that person has contracts that they need to learn in this journey, and it's their choice. We have to drop the judgment. We have to drop the fear. And I know it sucks. Trust me, I have loved ones who've done it too. But I instantly stripped away the judgment. I stripped away my own fear because I knew instantly there was no way I was going to contribute more fear to that problem, because fear is the biggest problem that we're dealing with right now. Fear is the biggest problem. So just know that there's so much more going on than any of us can truly understand. Be in acceptance of the divine plan and stay in your own truth. Focus on your truth and focus on loving all of yourself and all of those around you. Just focus on that. Holding space, honoring everyone's journey, honoring yours, and let love permeate everything. Oh, UFO Mark, I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh my goodness. I'm just like sending you a huge hug. Oh, I'm truly sorry to hear that. And this is the reality, that I know many of you are facing. And it's, this video is not to diminish anyone's loss at all. All loss is bad. It's just unfortunate that, this is what's happening. This is part of the mode that we chose to learn some of these lessons. And there's nothing nice about it. There really isn't. I'm just sending you a big hug, Mark. So, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Again, please check out my last night's podcast if you missed it. There was so much good stuff in there. It will totally give you a new perspective on things. It'll raise your vibes. It gives you some hope. Matt talks about the light always wins, and he's right. Anyone who's done this journey, anyone who's gone into their own darkness knows that light always wins. It just doesn't seem like it right before it does. Just remember that. All right, guys. Okay, really quickly, I see this question. Nicole, how can we tell when a soul contract is fulfilled and can be walked away from? The only way you're ever going to truly know that is by tuning into your own heart and really tuning into your connection with Source. And that's why it's so important right now. Allison Coe and I talked about this on the podcast, is that you need to have, and that's why I'm saying this relationship with God, this relationship with your higher self, it is the most important relationship you have right now. It's the only way you're going to be able to discern what you need to discern in these moments of uncertainty and confusion. So the only way you're going to truly know that is through your own connection to your higher self. You've got to be still. You've got to be still enough to tune all of the drama around you out, and allow yourself the time and space to sit with it and allow the answer to come to you. There will be a knowing. There will be a knowing that comes through. But it's in these moments where we allow everything else to let go and we're uncomfortable being with just ourselves that we can make those decisions and we can understand with certainty what is next. And not necessarily always certainty, but there will be this overwhelming, like, I know I just have to do this. I don't know why, but I just know I have to do this. Okay. All right, guys. I love you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Okay. Keep your light shining brightly. Know that there are definitely lighter days ahead of us. We just have to go through some more darkness to get there. This was never going to be easy. It was never going to be easy. And just prepare yourself for more distress coming through, like the collective. But one of the best ways you can mitigate that is through, focusing on all the tools you have, turn them into rituals, make them part of your daily practice, get really strong in your own practice, and do whatever healing is being called upon you right now. Don't wait. Don't let that outside stuff become a distraction or excuse as to why you can't go inward. All right. I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful evening. And next week, I have Consuelo coming back on the show, on the podcast. And I'm going to give you guys a little hint. She did some channeling about the virus and why so many people get tired. She was shown something in the body that is floating around and how to heal it. So that is going to come up on next week's podcast, amongst a whole bunch of other great stuff. So I hope to see you guys in the live chat next week. Okay. Lots of love